"Can I help you find anything today?" The question floated out sweetly, just not in her direction. The white woman in the beige wool coat smiled, nodded, and was instantly ushered toward a glimmering display case of diamond studs. A male associate popped a tray open with a polished grin, velvet gloves already on. 2 steps behind them, the black woman stood alone. She'd entered the boutique no more than 90 seconds earlier. Her heels had clicked softly on the marble tile. Her coat was dark camel cashmere, pressed and pristine. Her makeup was subtle, her lipstick a matte berry that framed her expression in effortless grace. And still, she moved through the room like she was wearing glass, seen but not acknowledged. The receptionist had barely glanced up. The first associate had turned toward her, paused as if about to say something, then spotted a white couple walking in behind her and veered off like he'd forgotten what he was doing. So now she stood between 2 counters, one filled with emerald-cut engagement rings, the other with handcrafted tennis bracelets, and no one offered her a single word. She didn't frown, she didn't clear her throat, she simply moved quietly along the edge of the display, hands gently clasped in front of her, studying the pieces with the focus of someone who could buy any one of them, and had before. "Welcome in," another associate called. The greeting was bright, enthusiastic. It wasn't meant for her. A tall man in a pinstripe blazer had just walked in. Within moments, he had 3 staff members offering champagne, 2 trays open, and a mirror set in front of him. She raised an eyebrow. Still nothing for her. No one asked her what she was looking for. No one offered to show her a new arrival. No one asked if she needed assistance, even as she paused in front of the most expensive display in the store. She wasn't invisible. She was intentionally unseen. But she didn't flinch. She didn't let her gaze drop. She just shifted her weight gently from one heel to the other and kept browsing. Occasionally she leaned forward slightly, as if reading the fine print on a price tag. But her eyes weren't on the tags. Her eyes were on the people, every interaction, every excuse, every omission. She wasn't angry, not yet. She was just watching. She knew the game. She knew how these places worked. What they offered to the right shade, the right outfit, the right accent. And she knew that at some point, one of them would catch on. The question wasn't if, it was when. Because once they saw the ring on her hand, everything would change. But for now, she let them miss her. One by one, the earrings sparkled under a cascade of LED light, glinting with every gesture of the white woman trying them on. She laughed, head tilted back slightly, as a sales associate adjusted the tray, offering compliments like clockwork. "They catch the light beautifully on your skin tone," she cooed, removing the next pair with velvet-gloved fingers. A few feet away, the black woman paused in front of a platinum watch display. She examined the craftsmanship quietly, the curve of each link, the shine of brushed steel, the precision of the face. She didn't touch the glass, didn't ask for assistance. She waited. No one came. She moved to the diamond showcase next. Larger stones, rare cuts, the type of inventory that required approval just to view up close. A white man beside her asked, "Do you have anything with a 3-carat minimum?" He was immediately offered a glass of champagne, the bubbles already rising before the associate even reached for the keys. 2 employees hovered. The black woman stood alone. She had entered the store 10 minutes ago, long enough for them to notice her, long enough to have offered at least something. A polite hello, a fake smile, even a rehearsed, "Let us know if you need anything." But there had been none of that, just a practiced silence, the kind that wasn't an accident, the kind that comes from choosing who's worth engaging. She didn't cause a scene. She didn't walk out. She stood in front of a necklace draped on a velvet bust, 18-karat gold with emerald accents, and observed it with the eye of someone who understood the value of what couldn't be spoken aloud. Behind her, another customer entered, a young blonde woman in yoga pants and a hoodie. Within seconds, a different associate greeted her, offering to show her the new spring arrivals. The woman nodded, seemingly unaware that someone else had been waiting without being seen. The black woman adjusted the strap of her purse. Still nothing. Still silence. She let the quiet settle into her bones, let it wrap around her like a lesson she'd memorized too many times. She wasn't surprised, but she was very, very aware. A different kind of tension had begun to rise. Not loud, not flaring, but slow and measured. Like the slow build of a string section before something sharp cuts through it. And then she reached into her purse, calmly, deliberately. She didn't pull out a credit card. She didn't grab her phone. She pulled out her glasses, slipped them on, then reached for a folded brochure from a different luxury boutique. The one she had visited last week, where they hadn't hesitated. The one where the director knew her by name. She unfolded it slowly, laid it against the display case, and pretended to compare styles. That was when one associate finally glanced her way. Too late, she didn't meet their eyes. Because silence has a weight, and when it breaks, it's never subtle, not when it's earned. Could I see that one? Her voice was soft but certain, directed at the saleswoman closest to the diamond showcase. The woman barely looked up. She was mid-conversation with another associate, laughing at something irrelevant. Her back half turned toward the request. The question hung there for a second too long, then a sigh. The kind that says, why now? The kind that says, are you serious? What piece? The saleswoman asked, still not fully facing her. The Asher cut, second row, the one with the platinum band. The saleswoman finally turned. Giving the black woman her first real look, her eyes moved from her face to her coat to her shoes, assessing value like a scanner. Then, as if to confirm something for herself, the woman's gaze dropped to her hand, and that's when everything stopped. Because wrapped around the woman's left ring finger was a diamond so large it didn't sparkle, it commanded. Set in a custom gold band, the center stone caught the light with a fire that only money and precision could produce. The cut was rare, the clarity, flawless. This wasn't a brand collaboration or showroom loan. This was legacy. This was custom designed. Made for someone who doesn't ask permission wealth. The saleswoman blinked. Then she blinked again. Oh, of course, she said quickly, her tone cracking into something bright and falsely friendly. That one's a very special piece. Let me get the key. Suddenly, the store had noticed her. The other associate who'd ignored her 10 minutes ago was now inching closer. Another one, the same man who'd served champagne to a different customer, whispered something behind his hand and looked directly at her. The energy shifted, subtle at first, then all at once. Eyes darted to her hand, and then to each other, because they knew what that ring meant. Not just that she was married, not just that she had money, but that she belonged to a very specific kind of world, the one they catered to but didn't control. The kind of world where her presence wasn't just acceptable, it was a warning. The woman wasn't just wearing a ring. She was wearing proof. Proof that they had missed her. The key was fumbled from a drawer. Velvet gloves slipped on in a rush. The case opened like a treasure chest. This piece is part of a limited designer line, the saleswoman explained, now breathless, her hands shaking slightly as she lifted the tray. It's not even on the website yet. The black woman stepped forward slowly. Her heels clicked against the tile. She didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She leaned in slightly, eyes tracing the stone in front of her. And then, as if remembering something, she looked the saleswoman in the eye and said, "You were saying?" Nothing more. The silence that followed was louder than any apology. Because now, they didn't just want her attention, they needed it. "Can I help you with anything else?" The voice was suddenly syrup-sweet. The same associate who'd walked past her 3 times earlier was now standing at her side, eyes wide, smile plastered on like fresh paint. He held a velvet tray in his gloved hands and gestured eagerly toward the case she'd just been viewing. As if this moment hadn't been preceded by nearly 20 minutes of strategic avoidance, she turned to him slowly, her posture unchanged, her expression unreadable. "No need," she said, voice calm, clipped only by grace. "I've already purchased from here." He blinked, thrown. "Oh," he stammered, confused. I didn't realize. Not this location, she clarified. The flagship on Madison. That landed. From across the boutique, someone froze mid-step. The other saleswoman, still standing near the open diamond case, stiffened at the sound. Even the manager, who had pretended not to notice the shift in dynamic just minutes earlier, stepped out from the back room, his expression carefully neutral as he scanned the room, and then, finally, her. The black woman didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her words had already made their way across the marble floor and into the spaces between their performance. She reached into her purse and removed a business card, not hers, but her husband's. Clean serif font, stark black lettering, discreet matte texture. The logo embossed in one corner was enough. When the associate took it and read the name, the color drained from his face. The man on the card was known, very known, not just in their industry, but in others. A name whispered in boardrooms, printed in magazines, discussed at conferences with respect and envy in equal measure. He prefers the store on Madison, she said simply. They never have trouble remembering me. Silence, not the polite kind, the heavy kind. The kind that weighs down everyone who had smiled too late, moved too slowly, spoken too sharply. I see, the associate murmured, eyes dropping. He handed the card back like it was burning his fingertips. Another staff member started to approach, but thought better of it. The energy had shifted again, and they all knew it. The woman looked around once more, at the cases, at the walls, at the very structure of the boutique. This was not about jewelry anymore. This was about how people decide who is worth noticing, about how much presence you have to bring into a room before it's finally acknowledged. She tucked the card back into her purse. I was just browsing, she said, with a tone that cut deeper than any reprimand. Then she turned. The heels that had walked through their silence now carried her past their regret, past the open mouths, past the apologies they wouldn't say, but would now think about every time someone who looked like her walked through their doors. She didn't need to buy anything. They had already sold their reputation. The door closed behind her with the soft hush of brushed steel and temperature-sealed glass. No slammed exit, no final word. Just the sound of her absence settling in like dust on velvet. Inside the boutique, no one moved right away. The staff stood frozen, some pretending to straighten trays, some suddenly very interested in a computer screen. One folding the same polishing cloth over and over again, like it would erase what had just happened. The manager stepped forward from the back office at last, but too late for it to matter. His polite, "Is everything all right out here?" hung in the air like a performance he didn't realize had already ended. No one answered, because the story didn't need retelling. Everyone had seen it, the silence, the dismissal, the shift, the ring. It spread faster than the fragrance samples ever could. Through the stockroom, the WhatsApp group, the private Slack channel used to track VIP appointments. Within hours, the employees at the Madison Avenue location were already whispering, "Did you hear what happened at the Lexington store?" By morning, the regional manager had a meeting on the books. By noon, a new memo had gone out. Be advised, all locations are to review our updated client engagement protocols. Immediate focus is to be placed on unconscious bias awareness, proactive service for all walk-ins, and eliminating visual profiling. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew. And the ones who hadn't been there asked, "What happened?" She was important, someone said. She was powerful, said another. She was married to someone big. But the truth was, she didn't need to be any of those things. She had walked in as herself, and that should have been enough. Now, every time a new face stepped through that door, especially one they once might have overlooked, the staff adjusted. They stood straighter, smiled sooner, asked sooner, watched their tone, not from guilt, from memory, from knowing what it felt like to get it wrong, in front of someone who would never forget, and neither would they. Because the woman with the ring had left nothing behind but a moment that peeled back the facade of luxury and revealed something uglier underneath. a moment that looked soft on the outside but landed like a signature at the bottom of a resignation letter. She hadn't asked for a change in policy, but the store had one now. She hadn't demanded better service, but the next woman who walked in would receive it, and so would the one after her. And every time an associate hesitated for even a second, they'd glance down just to check, to see if a flash of light danced on a finger, a reminder of the woman they didn't see, until it was too late.